of those things. I'm not going to do them live in class because we would just sort of redo them because we're going to do some of these things a different way. But let's talk about it. So the way we have it now, we can type things in here to get added to the list, which syncs them with this list automatically, right? Adding it to the object in state automatically adds it over here because we no longer worry about adding things to the page when some action occurs. We just manage our data, and then we create our user interface in such a way that it automatically syncs with the data. So the form and the list don't need to know about each other. They just both need to know about the state that's at the app level. If I click this, then we get a new note instead of updating the one that's already there. Necessary because it's a copy of the same object. If we look at noteform.js, we start out with a blank note. And as soon as we start changing anything, we call set state on that, and then we call this props save note all the way up in app.js. And that sets the ID if it's not already there. And at that key in the notes object in app.state, we set this note. Not a copy of it, but the note itself. So we just keep messing with it. That means the ID makes it back down, right? So as long as it keeps updating the same ID, it's just going to keep, everything we type is just going to keep getting added to the one that's there. Until and unless we hit save and new. So how would we make a delete button? You would need to delete from app state, right? An app state is an object, not an array this time, so we can't use array splice. We can use the delete keyword. When you have an object, you can use the delete keyword to delete something from it altogether. If I say delete meals dot lunch console log meals, make sure the console is showing, and I just get breakfast and dinner in there. So that's delete. It completely removes that key. If you set it to meals.lunch to null or something, it would still be there. It's just its value would be null. So the key would still be very much present. So delete will do that. We could add this button, say in the form, if we made these clicky things work. Then we could get any one of them loaded back up in the form. We could add a delete button over here. So how would we make clicking this do that? Again, don't think about this list talking to the form. It doesn't need to. They just both need to be able to access state from the parent. So we could add something to app state in addition to the notes, all the notes. We could add one for the current note, whatever the currently selected note is. And then in note list, we could have an on-click that sets that note to whichever one we clicked on. We would have to pass some method down via props, right? Because if it's in the app state, only the app component can modify it. So we'd have to have some method that does that work to set the current note. Pass that down to main and note list. Set it on click that calls it. And then perhaps in note form, instead of having its own state, it would instead receive the current note from the props. Pass down all the way from app. That way, if that gets changed, the form updates with the proper note. And if we call save note again, we would pass that note up, and it would keep updating the right one with the ID and everything, because it would be getting it straight from app. Make sense? So today our main objective is to sync our data with the database in the cloud.